Good morning. It is Monday. It's way past 7:30. I apologize. I literally was here on time and got things set up. Stepped outside the office door here for a second and realized I'd locked myself out of my office, out of my truck, away from my phone. So I had to run and walk. It's just like 9 miles to my house, and so I picked up the van and got it back, and here I am. I want to talk about today the weird, the wild, and the wonderful. I don't know about you, but when I look through the scriptures following Jesus, there was some really weird moments, some wild moments, and some wonderful moments. And I want to talk about those things for just a few moments this morning because I don't know about you, but my life has been like that. Following Jesus has been weird compared to how I was raised. It's just weird. There's just some things I look at through the scriptures and I go, that's weird. Like like Jesus finds these fishermen. They're fish for a living, and he walks by and he says, "Come follow me." And the Bible says straight away they left their nets and followed him. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems weird to me. They left their livelihood because a man they didn't know said, "Come follow me." I, I don't know all the reasons for that, but I also know in my own life I left a really good paying job where I was really well liked, well known. I welded for Hollywood, I welded for NASA, I did some really cool things, and I left it to work for what averaged out to be about $2.50 an hour to work in the ministry. That's weird. My family thinks it's weird. I get that. But I was never happier in my life. Following Jesus is beautiful, but it's also got some weird moments to it. Um, Jesus tells, there's two stories of Jesus healing blind people. And one, he spits in the mud, on the ground, and out of the dirt and his spittle, he makes mud, puts it on a guy's eyes, and heals him. That's weird. I mean, we spend most of our life trying to keep mud out of our eyes. And yet there's one where it says he healed this blind man, he spit on his eyes. That's weird, but it healed his eyes. It is a wild ride. I can't imagine. But I look at it and I understand why when people read the Bible they go, "Man, that's weird." Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in there, but it's also wild and wonderful. There's some wild moments. We hear about the wild west. There was some wild east. Jesus did some wild things that it would have been incredible to have been with him when these things happened, like the Gadarene demoniac who was demon possessed so incredibly strong that they would put him in chains and he would break the chains. And the Bible says he walked around amongst the tombs and he cut himself and he hollered and nobody could constrain him. And Jesus walks up to him and suddenly the demons know who he is. They start talking to him. It's where Jesus asks, "What's your name?" They said, "We're Legion because there are many." And then these demons asked Jesus to cast them into the herd of pigs. Wow, that's weird. But Jesus cast them into the pigs. The pigs ran off the cliffs and killed themselves. That's weird. And that's wild. And it's really kind of wonderful. Just imagine being with Jesus, and here's this man now in his right mind. And the people of the town came out. They all knew who this guy was, but he's no longer chained. He's no longer demon possessed. He's no longer naked. He's clothed and in his right mind. That's beautiful. That's a wild event. It blows my mind. And then there is the one we hear very seldom, where Jesus goes into the temple, the church, the synagogue, and he finds the people buying and selling, and he turns over the money changers' tables and runs everybody off with a whip that he built. It's not like he got mad all of a sudden and found one somewhere and went. He built this whip. It's premeditated anger. He went in, turned over the money tables changers table, and ran them all off. That's weird, and that's wild, and it's wonderful. Jesus said, "You've made this house of God. It's supposed to be a house of prayer, a den of thieves." That's weird, and it's wild, and it's really kind of wonderful. And then there's just the fact that Jesus did just some really wonderful things, and there are stories that have all of the components all together. They're weird, they're wild, and they're wonderful. Like a man being lowered through the roof of a house to be healed. Now, how many of you, if you went someplace and they were so busy and there were so many people there, you would cut a hole in a guy's roof at the hopes that your friend could be healed? That's weird. And it's really, really wild. I can't imagine what's going on through their heads. They loved their friend and they believed Jesus could heal him, but they cut a hole in a guy's roof and lowered him down. And Jesus heals this man. He doesn't rebuke him for cutting a hole in the roof. He doesn't say, "Well, leave some money and make sure that you pay for it being repaired." He may have done that later. That's not recorded. But none of that changes the fact that it's just really weird to cut a hole in a roof and lower him. That's really wild. You have to you have to really be a wild man to be willing to do that. But then the wonder of Jesus healing that man. In The Chosen, when they show that Jesus looks up and he says to the woman who was kind of rounding these people up that lowered him down, he said to her, "Your faith is beautiful." And it just made me weep for Jesus to say, "Your faith is wonderful." And I almost felt like I could hear the Lord saying that to me, "Your faith," and to you, "Your faith is wonderful." The woman caught in adultery, and it says she was caught in the very act of adultery. Now, again, that's sin, that's wrong. They bring her to Jesus. The law says we should stone her. What do you say? Jesus bends down and starts writing in the dirt, the sand. And then he says to everybody standing around, "You who are without sin, you cast the first stone." And the Bible says from the oldest to the youngest, they begin to leave. The old people got it way quicker than the young people, and they begin to leave until there wasn't anybody around. And then Jesus says to her, "Where are your accusers?" She said, They're nowhere." He said, "Neither do I condemn thee." Jesus was the only one without sin that could have condemned her, and he didn't. It's just weird that people think it's okay that they caught this woman in adultery. That means they were looking, watching, and Jesus confronts them. It's wild. And then there's this wonderful moment where Jesus just deals with it in righteousness and in integrity. He lets everybody know you got no stones to throw because you've all sinned. And then he tells her, "I don't condemn you either. Go and sin no more." It's wonderful. I really, Easter Sunday was last Sunday, yesterday, and we were asked as we read the story, "Who do you say that I am?" Well, some people said Jesus was just weird. Other people said he was demon possessed. Other people said he was wonderful. And I find in my Christian life, Jesus is all those things to me. And my Christian life is all those things, sometimes all at the same time. It's weird and it's wild and it's wonderful. The first time I ever saw healing, my oldest daughter had a cyst in her ear, and the doctor said it would have had to have been surgically removed. There was no way to do it other than to cut it out, and it was going to be painful and a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. And I'd just been reading More Than a Conqueror by Terry Mize, and my faith was built up, and I went into her room, and she's in much pain. She's laying in her bed, and I took up my guitar and I just started playing and worshiping God. And I started believing God to heal her ear. And in the morning, she woke up and that cyst had dried up and fell off in her pillow. That's weird, beloved. And it's wild. And it's really, really wonderful. I hope that you're enjoying this today, that you would look at your Christian life and realize there are some things that have happened that are just weird. And there are some things that have happened that have been really wild. And there's some things in your life that God has done that's just really, really wonderful. And then there are some situations that are all three. It's weird, it's wild, and it's wonderful. I love my Christian life. There's nothing boring about following Jesus. And I encourage you today to realize that throughout the scriptures, there were weird things that happened, and there were wild things that happened, and there was wonderful things that happened. And God was in the midst of all of it, working his will and his way. I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching. I know it was late. I hope everybody realizes I'm okay. I know my legs will be sore in the morning, but hey, I'm thankful for the health that I have and for God's goodness to me. I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching. Hey, don't forget to sign up and get registered, subscribe to my Lee Speaks podcast. You have to have all three words. We're gaining ground there. Have had some wonderful, wonderful interactions with people. Looking forward to some new ones that are coming. And if you get a chance and you feel led of the Lord to go to my internet, my webpage, leespeaks.com. There's a place to give for those of you that would like to give, be a monthly offering person or just a one-time gift. Just to be encouraged. Again, these are all free. You can watch them. But people have asked me, how can I support you? How can I give? You've helped me out so much. So we created this place for you to go. And if you want to give, it's for you. If you don't, hey, love you. I'll keep sharing. See y'all next Monday.